the big difference between owning and renting. I didn't know that there were tax benefits. I didn't know how equity works or appreciation works. And, that's why we really focus on providing as much education around that, as well as providing opportunities for them to use that education to be able to take that stepping stone and use mobile homes to be able to get out of that rat race, to get out of that full 100% going towards rent, and keep dreaming of owning a home while it's a moving target that they can never reach.
Hey. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the most wonderful real estate podcast ever. I'm your guest, Dwan Bent Twyford. I'm America's most sought after real estate investor. And we have another super exciting episode today. As you can see, I have Franco with me. So today he is our wicked smart man. So we're going to talk to him. We're going to see what he's doing. We're going to find out what he's all about and see what value he can bring to you. Now, if you're new to my podcast, my website is Dwanderful, so it's DWANDERFUL. I took Dwan and Wonderful and I made a new word, Dwanderful.com. I'm going to ask you to go opt in over there. And I've got some free real estate training, a bunch of free real estate training for you, and some free offers and things like that. And our motto at Dwanderful is people before profits. So if that's something that resonates with you, then you're at the right place. I'm your girl. This is your guy. And we're going to have a fun time today. So, Franco, how are you, honey?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to be here.
I know. I'm excited to have you on, too. I think you and I have rescheduled a couple times. So I'm super happy. And I love all your vibe in the background. I don't know if that's a set or if that's your actual background, but I love it.
It's actually our podcast room, or like our recording room for our YouTube channel, and our
so I keep it real with my flamingos. I have Daisy May and Delilah, so I've even got them named. All right. So first of all, we always start off with a toast just to say hi, and we're just gonna have a conversation, kind of like you and I were just sitting somewhere having a drink and talking. All right.
Cool.
All right. So cheers, everybody. Get your drink. Cheers. And everybody take a deep breath and shake off whatever negativity you've been thinking about today. Get rid of it and just prepare to have some fun with me and Franco today. Okay, so what we want to do straight out of the gate is tell us who you are, how people can get in touch with you, and then just give me like 2 sentences about what you do. And then we're going to ask questions and see how you came to be FrancoTV.
Yeah. So who I am, I own a business that does pretty much the whole spectrum of mobile homes. So we help people get out of the rental rat race and start their ownership journey through mobile homes. To find our stuff, it's really just our YouTube channel. You can Google it, Franco Mobile Homes, or you can check that link that you mentioned, that www.franco.tv. And what was the third part that you wanted me to add? Sorry, Dawn.
That's kind of what you do. So you guys deal with the mobile home.
Oh,
so Franco.
Yeah. So
mobile homes and Franco Mobile Homes at YouTube.
Yeah, exactly. And so we pretty much help transact with mobile homes, and then we also convert a lot of old mobile homes into large, luxurious 2,000 square foot, 12-foot high ceiling mobile homes to what we're building today.
Wow. So you like pop the top up on some of these mobile homes and make like fancy mobile homes?
Yeah. So we make huge homes with quartz countertops, stainless steel appliances. We don't really remodel. We'll take the old one, we'll pretty much remove it, demolish it, and start and build a whole brand new one. Yeah.
Now, how did you get interested? Because I have never actually, I've met a lot of people that are in the mobile home industry, but talking about what you're doing and the high and making them really big. Like, how did you get interested in the mobile home? There's a million genres. That's why I love to have guests. There's a million genres of real estate investing. So I'm always curious how each person thought mobile homes, that's my jam. How did you
Yeah, yeah.
start off with in mobile homes and with real estate investing?
No, I didn't really. Long story short, I kind of came from a weird background. I grew up in the Philippines as a kid, had immigrant parents here. My dad was a main breadwinner. They divorced. They split up when I was about 17, 18 years old. And immediately I kind of had to work multiple jobs just to keep up with rent. And I remember at the end of every month having to pay rent and hating the system and hating, like, why is it that the rich and wealthy get to benefit from home ownership while we're here struggling just to keep up with the rat race? And I kind of became a real estate agent at that time, doing regular real estate transactions.
So how old would you have been?
And around between 19 to 22, 23 years old. And from there, I ended up kind of hating being a real estate agent in a weird way, because we were kind of trained. I did really well, but we were really trained to help the wealthiest people we could help transact and get their third, fourth, 10th property as an investment. But unfortunately, I had to turn away people that were in my shoes at that time and say, hey, you don't make enough money, you don't have enough saved, and I can't help you. But if you make more and save more, I can help you later down the line. But the sad reality is a lot of these people never get to that stepping stone of home ownership. So
No, they don't. So when you were like 13, 14, 15, were you still living in the Philippines or were you living in the States?
I moved here when I was about 11 or 12 years old.
What state did you grow up in?
Directly went to the Silicon Valley, which is like San Jose, Milpitas area.
That's a good move. The Silicon Valley. It's a good place. I don't know a lot of people that go from like another country straight to the Silicon Valley. So that was probably a good move for your family. So I like. How old are you right now?
So I'm 31.
Oh, you're just a pop. You have so many decades ahead of you. That's awesome. So I love the fact that so you started off as an agent. So I never got my real estate license as an agent. I just like jumped straight into investing. I can't even imagine showing people houses and schlepping people around in my car. It's like, oh my God, make a decision. I don't think I could ever have the patience to do that. So kudos for you for that. But I like the fact that you said you would meet people that want to own a home and can't own a home, and you would help them get into home ownership. And so when I first started with my rentals, I rented all my apartments to people in Section 8. And the purpose of Section 8, if it's used properly, is, the mom has childcare, she goes to college, she gets a degree, she gets a job, then they take part of her money and the government matches it and they're able to buy a house. And I was like, wow, this is really awesome, like getting people into homes that can't get into homes. So I love the fact that you kind of right out of the gate just had a heart for people that couldn't buy the big fancy houses.
Yeah. And having going through that pain myself and experiencing it myself, I know how difficult it could be to just hope that one day I could own a home, right? And I've been through that myself. And knowing that if I kind of had this weird dedication to try to make working class or middle class people, it make their lives a little bit easier, create a little bit more opportunity for them owning something, right? And I accidentally stumbled across mobile homes, and I actually first got into government stuff, understanding how Section 8 works, understanding how many other affordable housing platforms work, and came to realize that I didn't really love the way it worked. There's kind of like a lottery system. Was it really actually helping society? When after they're done living in Section 8, what happens after that? Like they move to another reduced housing, they get no equity, they get no tax benefits, and so I wanted to help people find out that way to start owning and start building their asset and start leveraging loans to build assets, just like the wealthy are able to, right? So, and that's where kind of mobile homes came across, and I was just like, holy crap, this is not what I thought mobile home parks were to
That's
look
not what
like.
I
I
thought they
thought
were
trailer
either.
trash.
I thought it's like where all the
So,
like super white trashy people live and cars are in the yards and tires and like really, yeah, that's kind of like my vision, I think, of what I thought about them. And I've been in some places that are freaking gorgeous. They're so manicured and
and that's
beautiful.
the
I'm
thing.
like, oh my God, look how beautiful this place is.
Exactly. That's the thing is like many people have these associations because that's the only relative thing that we have because of the media, because of movies. That's what
Movies.
we see is that trailer trash kind of and unless we know
It's the
somebody
movies.
that
And it's
lives in
also
these
the people that live in Tennessee. My family's in there. I'm like, oh my God, these mobile homes. Why would anybody live here? But you're right. It's the movie that makes us think it's all like, I don't know. It is the movies for sure. How did you decide to
yeah, but
differentiate from that? Because that had to be
well,
your first thought too.
absolutely. It was my first thought. And and I realized like, hey, just kind of like apartments. I mean, you do a lot of real estate stuff too. There's some bad apartments you don't want your kids going around, but there's beautiful luxury style apartments too, right? And the
Yep.
same with mobile homes. Yes, there are trashy communities, but there's also luxurious, very beautiful communities with spas, saunas, gyms and that sort of thing. And people shouldn't write off the whole thing or the whole asset class as something that isn't a great place. And you asked how I got into it and why I chose it was really kind of realizing there's a lot of false myths around it and realizing that it's a perfect stepping stone for people to get out of that rental rat race and
Mm-hmm.
start their home ownership because like you said, the Silicon Valley is a very difficult area to survive. I when my dad was the main breadwinner, we were surviving for a while, but as soon as he left, we were immediately stuck in this place of like, how do we keep up, right? And the sad truth of it isn't the numbers in our area is like, I'm going to say numbers in Silicon Valley, but the ratios are kind of the same in other metro areas as well. But here, rent is like $3,400 a month for a 2-bedroom apartment.
Oh my
Median
God.
single family home price is about $1.5 million for an average single family home. How does somebody that's continuously paying rent ever dream of owning a single family home if they
They
needed to
can't.
and spending a 6-digit down payment for that and committing to a $8,000 monthly payment as well? It's very, very difficult if you don't have parents or family that can help you attain real estate.
I
And
agree.
if we realize how mobile homes work, it's kind of like a hybrid of both. You own the home that's above the ground, you don't own the land, but you're paying a rent for the land. So the numbers kind of work on the mobile homes in this area is like, let's say it's a $300,000 mobile home. It's less than a quarter. It's about a quarter of what
There are
a
three
single
hundred
family home
thousand dollar
price.
mobile homes.
I mean, that's kind of the average in our area. I mean, but on the top end, we have some in SoCal that we've built at $1.4 million, but it kind of depends on different areas, right? So it's just like real estate. Here, what an average $1.5 million home would look like in Iowa, that same home could be like, I don't know what the numbers would be, but $200,000, right? But we know
In
that real
Clinton,
estate.
Iowa, 200,000 is a fancy house. Fancy.
Gotcha.
Like a regular run of the mill neighborhood, they're like 65, 70,000 bucks. So
Exactly. And
that's
we
right.
understand that it's because of
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I
it's
get
because
it.
of
It's the
the
same with
location, right?
Denver. Like the houses are 500 grand down there. It's like it's the hood. No one can afford this house. So I get it.
Exactly.
Okay, so let me just backtrack
So
for a second. So you started looking at mobile homes. So did you initially like buy land and decide to put mobile homes on it, or did you buy a mobile home park that was already built? Or did you just get a couple of mobile homes and like, here, I'm going to put these here? Like, how did you make that very first step?
the first step was really building a business that would help people that are renting start to do the transaction work. So we kind of started
Okay.
as a broker model, helping people get out of renting that couldn't afford real estate yet, helping them use a loan and leverage a loan to be able to purchase an asset like a mobile home. So
Nice.
we did the
Okay.
transaction side of things first, and then came to realize that shoot, I've been living in the Silicon Valley for a long time, and in our county, didn't realize there's over 60 mobile home parks in our area.
Really?
And there's several different, and that's another thing about mobile homes as well. People don't realize they're around. You have no reason to drive into them. So how do you even realize, whether they're there or not? So, and then if you look nationally as well, they're super spread out and in a lot of these dense areas, and it's a perfect place for opportunity. So we got into realizing that, shoot, this was built in the 70s. This infrastructure's already there.
Yeah.
It was built before it was high density housing, but there's homes that are like 700 square foot on a lot that can fit a 2,000 square foot home.
Yeah.
Right. And just like, in real estate, we can create a value add. And by more than doubling the square footage, we can raise the value of that person's asset for them to have a better lifestyle home. They can leverage a loan to build up that asset and be able to get up the chain and up a stepping stone to really upping their net worth from there.
So people that live in mobile homes own the mobile home, but they don't typically own the land. Is that correct? They're paying rent for like an HOA fee. Like they're paying a rent to keep the area clean and the grass and all the stuff like that. Is that how that works?
Exactly.
Okay. So you find your first mobile home, or you're getting ready to buy, you're going to step out and buy something. Did you buy a park, or did you start a park, or how did you get your first mobile home property?
So our business is really catered around the development of these homes themselves, right? So there's multiple parts of our business. One is the broker side, our agents doing the transactions, and then the other is helping on the financial literacy side of things and helping people build up their asset, build up their mobile home value. And through that, we were doing the development of replacing their old home for a new one, which in many, many cases we're raising their value of their home by more than 100%.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So with that, it works, that's kind of how it started there. And then we started building and continuing to build our homes much nicer and nicer and pushing the limits from there.
Now, do you guys build them? Do you have people that build them? Oh, that's so cool. I don't think I've ever met anyone that actually builds the mobile homes. That's kind of a neat thing.
Yeah. So that's the core of our business is doing all the construction elements of this, replacing the old mobile homes with something new. These are contemporary as can be, full drywall, fireproof exteriors, and we have floor to ceiling windows and that sort of thing.
I bet they're beautiful.
Yeah. If you haven't seen it already, I mean, for those kind of looking, I definitely urge you to take a look at what we build. That's why YouTube's been our biggest, fastest growing thing in the last few years is where we get a lot of our clients is they see, as soon as they see it visually on video or they see it on a 3D tour, these are nicer. We really push the limits and make them nicer than what a lot of new home construction companies are doing today.
Yeah, and it's like in your area, it's like a third of the price, and they own it.
Exactly.
Now, so do you guys go into parks, say that are already built, and somebody wants to work with you, and you remove the home they have and put a new one there in an already established park, or do you buy the parks yourself?
It's the first part that you mentioned. And it was only recently in the last year and a half that we started getting involved with the park ownership side of things.
Well, that's exciting, right? You can buy those all over the country. There's mobile home parks literally all over the entire country that are just looking for someone to take over and run them better and manage them better and and make the trailers nicer, make the mobile homes nicer. So if you go into an area and someone's like, hey, I want to upgrade my mobile home, and they're in other mobile homes that were maybe still built in the 70s, and now you put this giant one on there and it's next to a really old one, what happens? How does that affect the value?
Yeah. So, I mean, every area kind of has its own different priorities, right? So, and then every person that we work with has their own different set of priorities. So we try to make these. The beautiful thing about what we do is we really have designed it for it to be a win-win for all parties, right?
Okay.
If you're in an area of high density housing and your only option is to rent X amount a month, hey, people are making these huge sacrifices that they regret. They buy a home 2 hours away and then they commute to work in San Jose, and they end up hating their life and wanting to go back and retract that, right? So why not sacrifice by living in a mobile home that is 15 minutes away from work, that is built brand new, that's a 2,000 square foot home, and it ends up becoming a great use case for people. But to your question that you had earlier, is that by doing this, we are helping that resident that lives in that mobile home up the value of their asset. And simultaneously, we're also helping park owners up the value of the land as well, because the more new homes that we have in these communities, the more the neighbors are like, shoot, this worked for them. They made $50K of equity just by converting their old home to new. Plus it looks cool. Plus they added bedrooms for their kids. Now maybe I want to kind of do that. And it becomes this viral effect, right?
Yeah, it does.
And with that, it's really kind of blown up as far as, and became successful for everybody, and everyone's happy. The park owner's happy, the residents are happy, the neighbors are happy as well, and because they get to see that the value of the homes in those communities are also going up as well, right? It's kind of like the neighborhood effect. It's like, hey, if homes next to me are selling for more, that means the value of my home, even though I've done nothing, is going for more as well.
It does. It is that effect, because when you live in a subdivision and your neighbor gets a new roof, everybody's like, oh man, look how good that roof went. I want a new roof.
Exactly.
We have a house in Florida. Right now I'm in Colorado. We have a house up here in the mountains, and we have a house in Florida. Well, the neighborhood is approximately 30 years old. So I had this house built from scratch, and there are all these really Spanish tile, like all beautiful. Well, it's time for new roofs. So now everyone's getting some kind of these metal and this whole thing. And every time I go there, I'm just like, wow, okay. Every new roof is going to like the new look that the first house did. And there's probably 50 houses in there that have switched over to the metal roofs. Like, but I love the old style tile. But do I want to put it on and then be the last house in the entire subdivision that doesn't have the new roof? So it is fine. Once the first guy did it, I saw all these people starting to do their roofs.
Yeah.
That's a good sales tactic. Like, hey, look at this beautiful mobile home. You could have one like this too.
Yeah. And when you build something and it builds value for that person, we really allow for our clients to be our referral network, right? It's like, hey, are you happy with what's happened? Did the numbers make sense? And we start to allow these, and keep in mind, these are they're first time homeowners and that sort of thing. So they don't really, so we love kind of sharing how the ROI effect works on this, right? It's like, hey, yeah, and the numbers are different in every city that we work in. But for example, in San Jose, hey, you spend $270,000 on replacing your old one to a new one. Your now new home value when you sell it later down the line is $390,000.
That's right.
Which is, and it actually does happen for people where they do it. They live in it for a year, they sell, and now they have $100,000 that they can use as a down payment for a single family home. And that's exactly what we're seeing on a repetitive basis. And then not only that, but a lot of people that, like the teachers in this area that are stuck renting, that don't have family with homes, they are able to own a home, a mobile home at an entry-level cost, and just feel financially secure when they couldn't before.
Yeah. Everybody wants a little slice of that American pie where we own a home. Everybody wants to own a home. That's the American dream, is to own a home. But gosh, they're so expensive. I find that in California, because I do trainings there, but usually once a year, is so many people are house poor. Like you said, they buy this house over here and they're like, oh, I'll commute to work. And then they hate that. And their payment's so high. The next thing you know, they're getting a second job to make their payment And pretty soon they don't ever enjoy their actual home because it
Mhm.
keeps them so broke and it takes all their time going to and from work. I mean, I agree 1,000,000% on that. People are so
Yeah.
house poor in California.
And to what you said, it kind of matters the sequence of how you do things, right?
Mhm.
There's people that are jumping from no home ownership to a very expensive home, and that's where it becomes complicated, is because that big jump to being house poor and all your money going towards that, that's where it becomes problematic. But if you
Yeah.
have that stepping stone in between, that's just a little bit more than what your payment would be if you were renting. Let's say it's not, it's not a huge payment, then you work your way up while you can
Yep.
focus on your career, have a home that's a manageable price
Yeah.
so that you can work yourself up, and then from there you can upgrade it, or you can decide to purchase later down the line. But like you said, is like everyone wants that pie. Like you mentioned, it is the American dream to own one day,
Yeah.
right?
It is.
And I hate seeing people my age regret putting so much money into a single family home just to chase that dream, and then what? And then
Yeah.
they're miserable and have a life where they have to work more, and they can't travel, they can't do anything else but pay for their home.
Yeah. No, I know it. I see my all my nieces and nephews and my kids are all millennials. And a couple of them went and bought these like houses that you should be living in maybe when you're 50, not when you're like 25 or 30. And they're so broke they can't ever go anywhere. And my kids, I was like, listen, y'all don't worry about it. Buy rentals, get some money coming in. When you're ready to buy a big ass house, buy it later. Don't be broke your whole 20s and 30s. Like buy some rentals, get some money coming in, just pay rent, write it off, make that your home office or whatever. But I see so many people just in my general circle where these young kids like your age, they're so broke over their house. They don't go anywhere, they can't go on vacations, they can't go do anything. It's just paying for the house and paying for the house and fixing things and paying for the house. And it's not a good way to live,
Mhm.
you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, and the sad part is too, is like, going through that situation myself, is when I was at that age, there's a lot of financial literacy that I was never taught in school that I
Oh,
wish I had known back then, right? I didn't know how to the big difference between owning and renting. I didn't know that there were tax benefits. I didn't know how equity works or appreciation works. And that's why we really focus on providing as much education around that, as well as providing opportunities for them to use that education to be able to take that stepping stone and use mobile homes to be able to get out of that rat race, to get out
yep,
of that full 100% going towards rent, and keep dreaming of owning a home while it's a moving target that they can never reach.
they can.
And that's what I love about this, is it does become that hedge in between to allow for them to level themselves up a little bit so that they have access to really progressing themselves later down the line.
Shoot, I don't know. If I lived in a big giant mobile home and there was a pool and a spa and all the stuff, I think I would just stay there. I'd be like, I don't have to maintain any of this. I'm just going to stay here. And when I need to, I'll just upgrade my trailer. I think I would,
Yeah.
because if you have all
Well,
that
there's
stuff
a
in
lot
your
of
house, you got
different.
someone cutting your yard, someone taking care of your pool, someone cleaning your house. You got like so much stuff with owning the home too.
Yeah, and you'll be shocked because there's so many great use cases. We have people all the time that are 70 years old that own a huge single family home. Their kids moved out. They decide to sell it and live in a mobile home because it's less maintenance. It's a single
Yeah.
story home. They get to live closer to their kids or family,
Yeah.
and it becomes a perfect situation for them. Plus, with it, like we talked about, you have communities with great amenities that are already maintained for them.
I'm all about the amenities. Any place I've ever rented, well, I started in Florida. So I'm Florida and Colorado. I was always like, it's got to have, now this is, I haven't rented since I was in my 20s. It's like, it's got to have a pool. It's got to be near the beach and it's got to have washers and dryers in the apartments because I'm not dragging my ass to the laundromat. So I had like, these are the things it has to have. I'm not going to even rent because the laundry alone going back and forth is like, I don't want to do that. So if I'm going to pay my
Oh,
hard-earned money
absolutely.
on the rent, I need laundry and a pool and within 20 minutes of the beach.
Yeah, and that's exactly how millennials think as well. They love amenities. They want to have a laundry in there, and it's amazing because there's apartment complexes, and it's so common knowledge to be comfortable, to be okay paying rent for an apartment. But for some weird reason, there's this association with, oh, a mobile home. I shouldn't think about that, right? But what's cool is that with these homes, they have their own laundry room. They have 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. It's private to themselves. They don't have to worry about people stepping above them or if they're
Yeah.
making too much noise because they have no shared walls.
Yeah.
And they also have parking right next to their home, a
Yeah.
3-car parking spot, right? And these are some of the flaws that I have a lot of people hating about apartments. Is like, oh, this person upstairs keeps stomping and their kids are stomping or whatever, or I'm getting noise complaints. And the lifestyle in these communities are actually, really great feedback from all of them, right? And that's why
Yeah.
we make these videos of the communities as well and talk about, their lifestyle and what their life is like and what it looks like.
So you have to take on the challenge of single-handedly changing the way Americans view mobile home parks. Because what you're building is a home and a community. And I think, now I don't know, I'm in my 60s, so I may think different than people in your age. But when I think of a trailer park, like I said, I think of like the kind of the white trash and the rednecks and nothing against all those people. Listen, my family's from the South. I got all redneck in me. But that's what I think of is like the place that you don't want to live on the other side of the tracks. Like we don't want to live over there. I live over here. So you're going to have to work hard to get people to change their mindset. And you could turn around the whole entire mobile home community thought process just single-handedly.
That really is. I mean, you've identified one of our biggest goals is for people to understand the real beauty of mobile homes. And we do a lot of government work with DC and helping send, because the truth of it is, even real estate agents don't know how mobile homes work. They don't know what
No.
these communities are like and that sort of thing. And so we always speak, like we were in DC last month, educating senators and that sort of thing of, hey, this is what's helping society. This is a family that it's worked for. This is the quality of the homes that we're building. And, we're beautifying it, not just publicly on YouTube, but also to government entities. So they really understand the value of this and how it's making a difference and the quality of it as well.
Yeah.
Right. So
Now, when my mom and dad, they got divorced in my senior year. And during the divorce, my mom had to rent because my dad was selling off some of the property, and we lived in the country. And so, basically, on the same street, but like a couple miles away, was a giant I think it was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath mobile home. That's where I lived in it with my mom and my sister, and it was great. It was huge. It was up on the hill. There was 5 acres. I was like, oh man, this is so nice because I always thought of like the trailer park concept. And this was a really beautiful place. And then the guy that owned it ended up selling it to my mom. And shoot, my mom lived there for 15 years. She loved it because it was just easy maintenance. She had a guy come cut the grass for her. And it was great.
mhm.
I loved it.
Yeah. And the truth of it is, and
And that
when
would be
you
in the
really
70s. So it was like fancy in the 70s. Like 77 is when I
yeah.
graduated. So that year it was like a new fancy, like all the stuff that my house didn't have. But my dad's like, wow, look at all this fancy stuff in here. This is fabulous. So I loved it.
Yeah. And that's the thing is that we want to also kind of inspire people that that are living in these communities to be proud of what they have as well.
Yeah.
Because there's this weird thing about what's socially acceptable. It's very easy for someone to say they're renting, but it's not easy for people to say, hey, I live in a mobile home, right? But what's the weird thing is like, who's more financially secure? Someone renting at $3,500 a month or somebody that's paying a mortgage at 35, or paying a housing payment at 3,500 a month,
That's
right?
right.
They should be proud that they're having financial security and that sort of thing. And we want to make that a beautiful thing and for people to understand how it's helping them financially as well.
Well, see, that's your assignment. You got to change the way people think across the whole country about mobile homes. I'm going to hold you to task. I'm going to check back on you in like 5 years and see, like, what are people saying?
Sounds good.
That's a big goal. Okay, so let's jump topics for a minute. What's your favorite band? What's your favorite band of all time?
I'm a very big EDM electronic music, and I love like hip hop kind of thing. So like
Well, you have
lately
to
my
name
favorite
one.
artist, a band. So
Or a hip
Post
hop
Malone,
group, whatever. You have to name a group.
so Post Malone is a hip hop guy that's kind of starting a bit of a band scenario. Um, he's one of my favorite artists, and
I like hip hop too. People are
yeah,
always surprised. I'm like, man, I freaking love it. But I started. I mean, when it first came out, I don't know what '90s is when the beginning of hip hop started, and I was like,
uh-huh.
man, the music, the beat, the dancing, this is the best music ever.
And then if you haven't heard of Disclosure, Disclosure is more of an electronic music, but they implement this band, kind of like marching band, into their music, and you should.
I'll check it out.
I think
My
you
daughter
should
works
see it.
for EDC, the Electric Daisy
No
Carnivals.
way.
Yeah, no, she's like the second in command of the big EDC, and they do them in um, Vegas, where they rent out that motor thing, and they do them all over the world. She goes to Japan and Mexico, and they just did one in Orlando. So she's like
Yeah.
second to the boss. She's like the boss's
Yeah.
assistant for EDC.
I was there last year at the
Yeah,
Vegas one.
yeah,
How
actually,
cool.
I was supposed to go, and I ended up not being able to. But a bunch of my nieces and nephews, so she got them all VIP tickets, all backstage, everything. So next time she does, I'm gonna have to hook you up with some tickets.
Oh, that would be
I
amazing.
have the girl, so she's second in command. So my couple of nieces and nephews went, and they're like, "Oh my god, we had backstage, we got to meet everybody." And I was like, "That's right, that's because Mama's got connections." So
Love
that's
it.
what my daughter does right now. So okay, what's your favorite food?
I love Thai food.
Ugh.
That's my favorite. And I was just in Thailand last month as well. And the food there was just so amazing.
Yeah, that's one of the places I haven't been, but I really want to go. My daughter went a couple years ago with like three girlfriends, and they swam with the elephants and they did all that stuff. I was like, oh my God, I want to go to Thailand so bad. So I'm working on that. I want to go get in the mud with the elephants in Thailand at the sanctuary. Well, that's like
Yeah,
the
that would.
coolest thing. And have the fish like eat your feet and get a pedicure.
Yeah, I saw that. I didn't do it.
Oh, come on, man. And when in Thailand. I would do that first. I don't know. I don't think they do it in the States. I don't know any place in the States that does do it. I don't know why though, because it looks really cool.
Yeah, yeah, it does.
Ooh, it would tickle though. I'm real ticklish. What's your favorite part of the day?
I love mornings. I think it's a place where I can focus on and really kind of brainstorm on things before all my team starts bugging me on all their needs.
Yeah, I got you. So, what I do is I take notes and then I just kind of read back and see if we were able to sort of summarize what is in the mind of my wicked smart man, Franco. And your last name is Perez.
Exactly.
Okay, so because we just did Franco mobile homes on YouTube. So also, are you on any social media?
Yeah, so it's the same thing when you look us up on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, that sort of thing.
What's your handle?
Franco.
Oh, okay, just Franco. Okay, I'm gonna start following you because I want to learn more about your mobile home stuff. So, all right, so
Oh,
you were born in the Philippines and you came over here in your teen years, lived out in Silicon Valley, and got involved as a real estate agent at first, and then you started learning, I think, more about finances and things, and got into the mobile home where you could give like a stepping stone for people that don't want to rent but can't afford these like crazy prices. So you made a stepping stone, and you take the mobile homes and you put a bigger, better, nicer one, which starts to flow through the neighborhood and everybody wanting to have the bigger, better, nicer mobile home, which is brilliant. And you like Post Malone and you like Thai food and you like things in the morning. And you're 31 and you're going to make changes throughout the world and change the view of what people think about mobile homes.
absolutely. Please hold me to it.
Oh, I'm going to. Don't even think I won't. All right. Does that sound about right?
Yes, it does.
And I know it's a really short version. That's why I always tell people, like, go check out the YouTube, go follow him on all the different social medias, because honestly, what you're doing is a really great thing. And I'm all about helping people step up to the next level, which is why I still do Section 8. But when I rent it, I make sure that and not to sound like it's just always women, but it's almost always women. I always make sure that they're following the plan, going to college, to get out, to get a home, not to be a lifer and then be a lifer
Uh-huh.
as a grandparent. And I don't want to rent to the lifers because you're not lifting anybody out of poverty. So I only
Hmm.
rent to the people that are in the program the right way. Most people don't even know that that's what it's meant for. It's to step you out of poverty with a degree into home ownership. So I'm all about that too. I've been doing that for the last 30 years, but I'm telling you, there's a lot of people that are just lifers, like forever lifers. It's like, I ain't renting out of my houses because I
And I
don't want
love
to
that you
support
add
that.
the homeowner. I love that you add the homeowner element to it too, because sometimes I honestly believe many families focus too much, not that you shouldn't, but all of their energy towards only college and career.
Yeah.
But you added the home ownership element too, which is something that's often ignored. And I've met many people that have done great on college and career
Yeah.
and never got into the home ownership. And then I've met people that did bad at kind of, I mean, not the greatest at college and career,
Yeah.
but got into home ownership. And I can honestly say that there's many of them that are better off than that,
Yeah.
right? But
If they
it's
follow
a
the
blend of both.
program correctly on Section 8, when they get out of college, they get a job. And then the government takes whatever it is, $50 a week out of their check and they match it. And they match it. And then they're guaranteed to get a HUD, first time home buyer's loan. And then they want to buy a house. But the problem is, they always want to buy the rental they're living in. It's like, but I don't want to sell you my house. Oh, Miss Dwan, I've lived here for 10 years. I got a degree. I've got money. I want to buy this house. And the first time it happened, I was like, oh man. But I was like, you know what? She worked so hard for that house. It's like, I got to sell it. So I have ended up selling a few of my rentals to the people that went through the program. But the first time it happened, I was like, no, 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 no. You can't buy this house. This is my rental. And so, so now I know I got to be willing to part with the rental at the end because I always want to start with that house because they're already in it.
Yeah, yeah.
So, oh God, the first time, Cynthia, I was just like, no, I like literally shed tears over it. All right. So, again, folks, this is the most wonderful real estate podcast ever. I'm Dwan Benton Twyford, and we have Franco Perez today. And thank you guys for listening. I'm going to ask you to do me a favor. If you learned anything, or you laughed, or you had a good time, or just anything at all, I want you to subscribe and follow the podcast. Follow me on YouTube, Dwanderful Real Estate Investing. Follow me on all the social medias. Opt into my website, dwanderful.com, and also leave some good reviews because podcasting is definitely a labor of love. And we do this to educate you. And in return, we just ask you to give us some 5 stars and some reviews and share it around with your friends. Okay, last thing. So I want you to give us a parting word of wisdom, but it can just be a word, a single word.
Just you want it to be a single word, or
One
you want it to
word.
be
No, a parting word, a
I
word of wisdom, a word.
I would I love the word. I think resourceful is a big word that's helped me grow.
Hard to narrow it down into a word, isn't it?
It is, it is.
That's why I
And
don't tell people ahead of
resourcefulness.
time. I want them thinking about the word the whole time we're talking. Okay, so resourceful is a great word, but tell me what resourceful means to you.
To me, it's really everything. I think, mind you, all that we talked about, I didn't get to go through a formal college, and that was very difficult. And I realized that all the information is really out there, and it's up to us to be resourceful with that information and contextual with that. And being resourceful can really make or break the difference of somebody that can change the world versus not, right? And the better resourceful we are, the better people we can be, and the more impact we can create.
Amen. All right, folks. So you heard. So that is your word of the week is resourceful. And I really like the way that you explained that, Franco. That's a good, I always ask people what it means to them because it means so many different things to so many people. And then it's assigned to everybody as the word of the week. So y'all are going to go out this week and be resourceful. Okay, well, thank you for being on the show. I enjoyed really getting to know you, and I love your heart, and I love what you're doing, and you have just a great career ahead of you.
Thank you.
All right,
Love
guys.
what you're doing too.
Thank you. So we'll be back next week, same bat time, same bat channel. And remember that the truth is in the red letters. Okay, ciao, everybody. Have a good week. Be resourceful.